Since their discovery in the late 1940s, the Dead Sea Scrolls have remained one of the most captivating archaeological finds in human history. Scholars, theologians, and history enthusiasts alike have been drawn to them, not only because of what they say, but because of how incredibly well they survived the passage of time. For nearly 2,000 years, these fragile manuscripts endured heat, dryness, and decay, hidden away in caves near the Dead Sea. For decades, scientists wondered how such delicate parchment could last so long, and what secrets still lay hidden within the ink itself. A recent study published by researchers in Science Advances has brought new clarity to this mystery. It does not rely solely on traditional archaeology or historical interpretation. Instead, it combines ancient texts with cutting-edge technology, revealing that the Dead Sea Scrolls still have new stories to tell. Nearly 2 millennia ago, in the barren caves carved into the limestone cliffs of the Judean desert, a devoted group of scribes carefully concealed sacred writings. Their goal was preservation, not discovery. They never could have imagined that these scrolls would one day be examined not only by historians and archaeologists, but also by advanced artificial intelligence systems powered by modern computing. The Dead Sea Scrolls have already transformed our understanding of the Bible. They confirmed that many of the scriptures read today are astonishingly faithful to ancient versions, copied with remarkable accuracy across generations. For years, this alone was considered their greatest contribution. But now, a new chapter has begun. Scientists have started applying advanced artificial intelligence, sometimes described as quantum-inspired AI, to study these ancient manuscripts in ways that were once unimaginable. What researchers uncovered was not a lost book of the Bible. It was not a hidden prophecy predicting modern political events or global disasters. Instead, the discovery was far more subtle, yet far more profound. It revealed something fundamental about how Scripture itself was formed, transmitted, and protected. Before continuing, remember to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps uncover the hidden past and bring the world's greatest biblical and historical mysteries into the light. Understanding the age of the Dead Sea Scrolls is not a minor technical detail. It lies at the heart of one of the most important questions in religious history. If these manuscripts truly date back more than 2,000 years, they belong squarely within the Second Temple period. This places them in the same cultural and religious world as John the Baptist, early Jewish sects, and the lifetime of Jesus of Nazareth. Dating the scrolls accurately allows scholars to understand when the Hebrew Bible reached a stable form, and whether biblical texts were still evolving or had already become sacred and fixed. In short, the age of the Dead Sea Scrolls directly shapes how we understand Scripture, tradition, and faith itself. The story of their discovery is almost legendary. In 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd wandered near the cliffs of the Judean desert while searching for a stray goat. Out of boredom or frustration, he tossed a stone into a dark cave opening. Instead of silence, he heard the sharp sound of pottery breaking. That unexpected sound marked the beginning of one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Inside the cave were tall clay jars. Inside those jars were scrolls, written in ancient ink on fragile parchment and papyrus. Over the following years, archaeologists would uncover 11 caves in total, containing tens of thousands of fragments from hundreds of manuscripts. These writings included some of the oldest known copies of books from the Hebrew Bible, along with prayers, legal texts, community rules, calendars, and mysterious writings that had never been seen before. The impact was immediate and revolutionary. The Dead Sea Scrolls reshaped the study of ancient Judaism and biblical history, but they also created a problem that would trouble scholars for decades. Most ancient texts contain clear historical references, names of kings, dates of battles, or mentions of temples and political events. The Dead Sea Scrolls, however, are largely silent on such matters. They speak passionately about law, prophecy, faith, and communal life. but they rarely mention specific dates or identifiable historical markers. This silence created a major puzzle. Without knowing exactly when the scrolls were written, scholars struggled to place them within a clear historical framework. Were these texts created during a time when biblical ideas were still forming? Or were they written later, after religious traditions had already become firmly established? The answer to that question would change everything. Initially, researchers relied on paleography, the study of ancient handwriting. By analyzing letter shapes, spacing, stroke patterns, and writing styles, experts attempted to estimate when the manuscripts were produced, much like how modern handwriting analysts can often tell the era of a handwritten letter. Later, radiocarbon dating was applied to the parchment itself, measuring how much carbon-14 remained in the material. While these methods were helpful, they were far from perfect. Carbon dating often produced broad ranges, sometimes spanning several decades or even centuries. Paleography depended heavily on expert judgment, which could vary from scholar to scholar. Even after years of careful study, uncertainty remained. Then a bold idea emerged. What if a machine could detect patterns that the human eye simply cannot see? An international team of researchers decided to explore this possibility using artificial intelligence. They developed a sophisticated system capable of analyzing ancient handwriting at an unprecedented level of detail. They named the system Enoch, after the mysterious biblical figure associated with hidden knowledge and divine insight. Enoch was not taught theology. It was not programmed with religious beliefs, historical assumptions, or traditional interpretations. Instead, it was trained purely to recognize physical features: curves, angles, stroke thickness, spacing, pressure, rhythm, and microscopic variations in ink application. Where a human sees a letter, Enoch sees thousands of measurable data points. To train the system, researchers fed it high-resolution images of scroll fragments that had already been carbon dated. Slowly and methodically, Enoch learned how Hebrew handwriting evolved over time. It learned to recognize generational shifts embedded in ink itself. Importantly, the system was trained using manuscripts from multiple locations across the Judean desert, not just Qumran. This allowed it to identify regional differences and broader historical trends rather than isolated styles. Once training was complete, Enoch constructed a detailed timeline of how Hebrew letter forms changed across decades. Then came the true test. More than 130 previously studied scrolls were submitted for analysis. When the AI completed its evaluation, the results stunned the research team. Again and again, the system assigned earlier dates than scholars had expected. Scrolls long believed to have been written by the Qumran community were dated to periods before that community even settled at the site. This led to a dramatic conclusion. Many of the scrolls were not written at Qumran at all. They were brought there. This meant that the Qumran community may not have been the creators of these traditions, but their guardians. The ideas preserved in the scrolls were already circulating across the region long before they were hidden in desert caves. History suddenly appeared deeper, more interconnected, and far more complex than previously imagined. Even more striking were Enoch's findings related to biblical manuscripts. Copies of books such as Samuel and Jeremiah appeared to have been written earlier than scholars had long assumed. This pushed the existence of written scripture further back in time and challenged established timelines. This matters profoundly. It suggests that biblical texts were already being carefully copied, transmitted, and preserved much earlier than many researchers believed. Rather than being unstable or constantly changing, these writings appear to have been treated as valuable and authoritative from an early stage.